What's the crack, everybody? It is Dylan from Mabfield here. So another episode of the Mabcast. Joined by Jack.
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. It's pretty late, 1 a.m. This is kind of what we do. We come up with ideas, change our mind, get in and out of things. We sort of just needed a bit of a creative refresh coming into this episode, because there's only so many things you can talk about directly related to the Irish scene, essentially.
Yeah, especially when it's such a young scene.
Yeah. So we did what every millennial, yeah, that's the word I was looking for, would do. And we live streamed. So we went on Instagram, started talking to loads of people, and just wanted to get some ideas flowing and some conversation, and it was actually really engaging and really good. We just started talking shit about what we wanted to talk about in the podcast. We asked questions on our story, and yeah, we got some really interesting answers. But first, before we get into all that, let's do what we always do, and let's review some tracks. Mm-hmm. So, what do you got first?
First off, we've got Aaron Everything, who sent in a track called Loss. It's the first track that he's mixed mastered himself. Pretty sure he's produced it himself.
Yeah.
No, I think it's actually produced by his mate who's Russian.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah. But it's actually quite a serious track about his dog that I think was about 15 years old that died. So it's that sort of that emo trap sound. It's only about a minute and a half long. I think he just sort of wanted to put all of his sort of grief into
just as an outlet almost.
Yeah. And it's a really emotional track. More emotional than a lot of songs that I think a lot of people write about other humans.
Yeah.
But what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, you totally got that vibe that the dog was a really close companion, and it's cool. That's the best thing about the music is essentially you're able to convey your emotions and get it out there in a therapeutic, cathartic way. Really.
Yeah, I think I don't think the sort of emo sound is either of our cup of tea generally, but I think you can just tell that he really cares about the subject of the song. So
and I think you're right in it being short. It was. That was to its benefit, because if it went on any longer, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Whatever filter vocalization tool he used, it was a bit over the top for me.
Yeah, I think he probably just sort of came up with a chorus, heard it in his head when he was just started thinking about the dog or whatever, and then just wanted to put it down. Yeah,
but it was actually whatever auto tune he had used on it. It was just a bit too much. It reminded me of do you remember those megaphones you used to get with you could talk through and it would change your voice? It was alien things. It was a bit like that.
Yeah, but I think quite a strong track overall.
Yeah, it was catchy, and it did what it was supposed to do, fulfilled its purpose. So yeah, I think he's from Donegal. We actually bumped into him at Longitude and was chatting to him. So yeah, shout out Aaron Everything. Check him out. The stuff will be in the bio in the link below.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Tommy C, who's part of which collective is it again?
Bass Life.
Bass Life, yeah. It's called Game Boy. It's a pretty tough lyrically track. I think he opens it up with talking about buying some pills for his dad while his mates get arrested, I think it is, by the guard.
Yeah.
And he keeps it up, really. It's a bit of an autobiographical track, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just a bit too long for me.
Yeah, it's one of them things that it's good in that you can keep picking out new bits of it, because lyrically it is quite dense, but the delivery and the flow, it just lacked a bit of energy. And we were sort of saying that the production sort of invited more of a slapping delivery. He could have done a bit more with it, I think. Yeah,
I think that the actual Game Boy hook about having your life in your hands and make sure you play it the right way, and it's a Game Boy, is quite smart, quite clever. But the delivery is he sort of just mumbles his way through the hook.
Yeah,
there's no strong melody to it. It's just sort of it's a Game Boy. And it doesn't really hit as hard as it should, I think.
Because I think, from a lot of consumers' perspective, it's all well and fine being able to have bars and to, be able to rap. People can rap but not make good songs. And it's super important to actually make it catchy. And I think this guy's obviously talented. There's parts of the song and other songs I've heard from him that he's sent that, it's catchy. And it's just one of them things, don't get lost in the fact that it has to be super technical. It has to be super deep. It has to, make it a catch. It doesn't have to be catchy necessarily, but something that people are going to want to listen to.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite memorable enough, is it? But next up, we've got Alex Gough, Step to Me. Mm-hmm. Really funky track. Gets you straight in with the bass line at the beginning. has like a nice progression to it. There's some keys that come in after the second chorus that are really cool, and then like a retro sort of guitar solo on the outro. Really ties it together. I think the only problem we have with it is his delivery.
Yeah, I mean, instantly you hear the production and you think, shit, you know, this is hot, like really, really clean, really well mixed and everything as well. But the delivery, it seems similar sort of thing he had on Breakfast, that track he'd released before, but it just saps the energy out of the instrumental for me. You know, it's, don't get me wrong, like he can rap, but it's just too monotone. I don't think he's quite nailed it yet. Like, it's something he needs to tweak maybe about it.
Yeah, I think he has got the voice for it, but there's a few times in the song where you can sort of almost hear his voice cracking a bit because he's like trying to sound really deep and like laid back, and it doesn't really quite work. I think you can see the hip house sound that he's going for. Like other people like currently like Channel Trez or something. But it doesn't really get your head bopping as much as it really should with the instrumental.
I felt like the instrumental really was trying to entice a more energetic approach to it.
Yeah, you're sort of sat there the whole time like, oh, I really want to like dance to it, but it just never like really clicks on that level.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, like, that's the kind of standard of production and mixing and stuff that people should be aiming for, I would say.
Yeah, it's produced really, really well. It's a proper knocking beat.
Yeah. For real. So like, yeah, Alex Gough is doing some good shit. So check him out as well.
We've got Joe XX, Vincy, and Remy LeBeau, Caution.
That was a bit of a mouthful, like having to read that off the sheet, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but he says Vincy in the song a couple of times, so I'm just going to go with that. But the track's called Caution, and it's over an ASAP and ASAP Rocky track, instrumental, Mario Kart. I think, which is almost the detriment of the song. They say it in the description of the video that it's a remix, but the beat is pretty much exactly the same, and even their flows on it are quite similar to the ASAP flows originally, and it just makes you almost want to just listen to the original song when you're listening to it.
Yeah, it just feels like a poor copycat of it. Like, if you're gonna replicate something, you know, add your own twist or something to it, like it's essentially a poor replication of it. Like, I could go into more detail with it, but to be honest, it's one of them things where if you're just gonna replicate a track and not add anything else to it, then
it seems,
you know, what's the point?
The video for itself is actually pretty cool, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like they put more effort into the video. Like, they've got the sort of high-vis vest in the warehouse, deserted warehouse, and then there's a girl that sort of like goes through the whole video in like a little story, and it's pretty cool, to be honest. But I think, Vinci's flow on it is pretty good sometimes, but I think his Remy LeBeau like doesn't really work on the beat for me.
Nah, he sounds like he's almost chasing the beat at sometimes, like he's not quite up to the pace of it.
Yeah, there's a part when the beat stops for like a sort of punchline, but it just fumbles, like it almost sounds a bit awkward, and doesn't really like hit you in the way that it should.
It's one of them things that like drowning in their influences almost, where it's like you can really be inspired by someone, but like, you know, not just replicate exactly what they did. Like, I've used the word replicate a lot there, but it just keeps springing to mind because the only difference between that track and the A$AP Rocky track is the quality. Like, it's essentially the same track.
Yeah, I think if you're going to put yourself up against established rappers like that, you've got to put more of your own spin on it.
Yeah.
Like give it like a really different hook, like properly spin the beat in a new way. But it doesn't really happen. But I could see them doing something like that later on, but I think with this track, it's just, it's too safe.
Yeah, safe's probably the word I'd go for. Yeah.
Next up, we got Confessions by C'est la vie de Mai.
Yeah, so not exactly sure how to pronounce the name, but I've seen her about a bit, and probably the most interesting track for sure out of all of these.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favourite one that we've been sent through this week. It's really different to other tracks. We were just listening to them again before we started recording.
Was the track. Oh man,
Dive, unreal, yeah. Which is way more of a laid back, sort of almost R&B song. But on this song, she just comes through with a really hard flow.
Really aggressive.
Yeah. Like sort of going with the confessions thing, talking about sins, and then like the hook about if she had a dick, she could fuck.
Yeah.
fuck like 9 hoes at the same time or something. It's a really memorable song, but like a couple of other tracks we've been sent through this week is quite short. There's just not enough of it.
Yeah, like, because like, don't get me wrong, like short tracks are like the flavor of the month at the moment because, you know, people's attention spans are getting shorter, but the majority of the track is taken up by the intro and the outro, and there's like, it felt like there was another verse that was about to come and it just ended.
Yeah,
you know?
There's only about a minute of actual rapping on it.
Because she goes hard as fuck. Like, it's one of them things I was like disappointed, and I guess like it's not such a bad thing to have that as a criticism. Like, we're wanting more, but like it just didn't feel finished.
No, I think she switches up her flow quite a lot, even though it's only about a minute long. There's one, especially before the second chorus, I think it is, where like the flow is so hard, so catchy. I just wanted it to go on a bit more, but I think the video is really cool. It's like, it looks like they spent like a lot of time on it, like maybe maybe even 2 day shoot or something, like with the like sort of abandoned town, and you think they're going to an asylum or something like that, where someone's strapped to a chair, but then they just go into the church, and then it's got her in like the confessions booth.
Yeah.
And a really cool shot of her wearing glow in the dark makeup.
So a lot of thought went into it. Like, it's really cool, really engaging.
Yeah, but yeah, it's only 2 minutes long, so there's only really so much you can get out of it, I think.
But overall, like, she's someone that I'm definitely going to tune into a bit more. And like, we were listening to a couple of her tracks before, and they were fire. Like,
yeah, I think especially with the difference in this song and then her other songs, like you could easily see her putting out an EP or an album where she like sort of flows between those two different styles that like keeps it having a lot of variety, and then something that you can keep coming back to.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a 5-track EP from her, like that showcases a bit of the variety and just like in more, maybe with a concept or something behind it, like something that's just sort of brings it to life a bit more, because there's not even, like we were saying earlier as well, like there's not a lot of female artists in in Ireland that are really, you know, I could count them on both hands, the one that I'm aware of at least. But she's part of Girl Code, and they're doing a good job at trying to promote all the female collectives, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's in their namesake. I think it's a good thing that they're around, and we just need to see more of them.
Yeah, for sure. And like, sort of like getting around to the idea of those concept albums and stuff, that was the thing we were struggling with, was topics. And something that Pay Fox actually sent through that we ended up discussing in the live stream quite a bit was like concept albums, and how there's not very much of them in Ireland. But then it sort of led us on to talk about that there's not many rap albums, let alone concept albums, that have come out. There's not enough of them, and it brought us into that whole debate about singles versus albums. Where do you stand on that for new artists, at least?
I can totally understand why artists do it. I think, you know, we're saying it's important to put out singles because you put them out on a Friday, you get put on a playlist. That's how you get some new followers. And I think a lot of people are focusing more on that, understandably, but no one really understands how it works. And we don't think it's like a long-term way to gain dedicated fans. No.
And I think like that you've hit the nail on the head, that with Spotify playlists, it's giving you plays, but it's giving you just that, you know. Not very many people I've found on playlists I've became actively engaged with, actively followed them in their career, unless I've like vaguely heard of them before. So if there's someone that I was meant to listen to that I didn't get around to, and I heard them on a playlist, I go, oh yeah, I'll actually check them out. But like generally I'll hear like, I don't know, a random producer that's made like a groovy beat, and I'll like put it in my playlist, listen to it, and that's about the height of it, really.
Yeah, when you get it on a playlist with like, you know what, like 40, 50 songs or something, you listen to that playlist, you're not going to sit there and watch the playlist as it goes down and be like, oh, I remember this song and this artist.
Yeah.
They all sort of blend in together, and it's not the way to get... You've seen it so many times with an artist will have, you know, a few thousand monthly listeners on Spotify, like some songs with over 100,000 plays or whatever, but then when it comes to actually selling out a gig or something...
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, they can't do it because it's not a dedicated fan base that's like that interested that they're going to go and spend money in person.
Yeah, it's kind of like deceiving a wee bit, because a lot of these artists have like mad amount of streams, and then you sort of think, whoa, they're hot shit, and like their music might be class, but if you're not having people that are going to come to your shows, you're not having people that are like actively buying your merch, you know, you're missing out on a huge portion of revenue there.
Yeah, I think another aspect to it is that artists want to keep releasing singles like every couple of months so that they stay relevant.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring out a concept album or even just an album in general, you've got to, you know,
hide away and
make
like it, really.
You've got to go off the radar even for a couple of months, maybe like, well, generally even longer than that for massive artists. And you're like scared, especially if you don't have that much of a following already, that they're going to forget about you, move on to someone else, and then once this album comes out that you've put so much effort into, no one's going to care about it.
Yeah, because it's that whole risk if it's going to land or not either. It's interesting because the one that I sort of go back to is Delhi Daydreams from Kojak. Like, that's a concept album that, well, it's not even an album. He didn't even say it was an album, but it's short. He went for 7 or 8 tracks in it in total. And maybe that's the route that some people have got to take, because there's 3 or 4 songs there that are singles, essentially. You know, maybe a shorter EP. Like, Kanye really set that tone with That Summer, where he worked on all the different projects. He produced them and he released...
all 7 songs.
Yeah, all 7 songs. I think that's the route that a lot of people are going to go down now, and it's starting to catch on. Shorter EPs, couple more singles in it, so you get the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think especially when you don't have to release something physically, if you just release it on Spotify, you can make it as long as you want, as many songs as you want. Like, you can even change it after it comes out, like Kanye did with Life of Pablo.
That's something mad that like we're getting to this point now where we're like being able to like posthumously like change albums, you know?
Yeah,
like
I can't believe
living kind of pieces of work.
Yeah, I can't believe no one else has done that, really. Because I remember when he like changed the mixing on pretty much the whole album.
Yeah,
He like even removed like
he added a song as well.
yeah, the Frank song.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see way more artists doing that afterwards, but it seems like no one's really picked up on it. Well, I think maybe because it looks unprofessional.
Yeah, I think he's maybe one of the only people that could pick up like or could do it and get away with it. Really, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got such an erratic output that I think people almost like that. Like they want him to do that kind of thing and fuck with it so they can remember what it was like before and then be like, oh, I knew about that. I'm like a more hardcore fan than you are.
Definitely. But it's interesting because like all that kind of shit, it's like it adds to the artistry, doesn't it? And maybe when people are asking, you know, like I've seen articles of people have asked, how do I, you know, get more streams? How do I become more popular? And it's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I'm gonna be honest. There's so many different elements to it that you just, it's difficult to put a finger on it because there's so many Instagram rappers and clout chasers and things like this where it's just skewing and muddying like the reality of everything. Like you previously, if you're making good music and you got a push, you know, that's what you needed. But now, you know, record labels are actively searching out these artists who are causing controversy just so they can push them, and they're already famous essentially. And if you're doing that and you don't know how the Spotify algorithm works, how tracks are being picked, like you're up against it, like, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, these like upper management executives and things in the labels, they think of it as a business. They don't really give a fuck how good the music is, I don't think. If you've already got 40,000, 50,000 Instagram followers, it's guaranteed money.
Yeah.
It's already an established fan base.
Yeah.
But do you think it's more important for smaller artists to focus on the rollout of the singles more than it is for bigger artists?
Of singles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a bigger artist can put out a single on Spotify.
And it'll just land no matter what.
And then people will get hyped for it, and then a few weeks later they release the video and then get another wave of hype for it.
Yeah.
Whereas do you think for smaller artists it's more important to have the single and the video out at the same time?
Ooh, that's a good question actually. I mean, you can risk it and try and get into some of the playlists maybe initially, and then if you get that, then you release a video after a while. You know, it's a double whammy kind of. But if you release a track and it doesn't land, and then you don't have a video ready, then you're kind of fucked, I think. But it really depends. I mean, generally the kind of the bigger question essentially that you're asking, you know, you're mentioning rollout and what you can do with videos and with music, but it's more so how much effort should they put into singles. We talked to a lot of artists recently who said, you know, they were thinking it's more worth our while to actually just put more effort into singles and not drop albums. And we were saying as well, you know, that no one remembers that single from 3 years ago. You might get some instantaneous, you know, feedback and some maybe a bit of a buzz on Instagram or, you know, something coming from it, but it doesn't give you longevity. But I think if you're starting a career in music, it is important to get a few singles out there and to gain a bit of buzz, not to jump into doing an album. There's so many people jump in and they release their debut album and it's just not a shit show, but like they've not got a following in the first place, and you can't drop an album if you don't have a following in the first place.
No, well, it's an extended listen, isn't it? Like, you're expecting someone to jump in without any knowledge of you beforehand and then sit and listen to you for half an hour. It's just not really going to happen. No.
And, like, I'll be honest, like, we get sent a lot of stuff and then people are like, this is my debut album, I'd love you to check it out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, don't mean this in a rude way, but, like, why do you think not me personally, but a consumer is going to be interested in this? You know, you've got to think bigger picture. Are people invested in you already? Have you dropped maybe a couple notable singles that have got people onto the buzz a bit? They go, okay, I like his sound. I can see he's got a bit of variety. I can see she can do this. Or do you have a video that maybe popped a bit? Like, there's a couple of artists, you know, you see a video and you go, okay, this song isn't that great, but, you know, the video is something different and they're sort of trying to create this immersive world, or they've got an aesthetic they're going for. You know, it's about, you need some actual fans, first of all, you know?
Yeah, well, I think We've seen loads of artists blow up because of videos that are more than the song, I would say, recently. Like, Lil Pump with Gucci Gang. I think that's a catchy song as well, but the video, I think, helped it. Like, Post Malone got massive off of White Iverson when he just has the Rolls Royce in the desert, which apparently they just rented for the day. They didn't even own. But it appears as though you're already well established.
Even on like a smaller scale, if you look at the likes of Jafaris, he only dropped his debut album there now. He's been making music under the different moniker of like Profound and Jafaris for maybe like 6 years. It's taken him that long to get there to feel ready to drop it. And even then, it's maybe not got the reception that he thought it would. And he's got fans, you know what I mean? It's like, it's difficult. And like, you look at Kojak and he dropped the Sunday Roast mixtape ages ago. He dropped Delhi Daydreams, which no one's actually stated if it's an album or not, but I think he's going for that it's not an album.
Yeah.
And he's going to have another EP coming out with Luca Pam. It's that kind of thing where you need to build it up, and there needs to actually needs to be a want for an album, I think, most of the time. You know what I mean?
So you think you think the ideal thing is to have the singles leading up and then maybe a year or two or even longer to then drop the album? I
mean, there's no set thing, but think of any established artist, what they've done. Very few of them dropped albums before you got into them. It's not the rule, but it's sort of how it works out. Like some that I would think of is maybe we seen Janelle Monáe, and it took her years to get popular, but generally artists that become popular after a long time eventually get like a push from a label, eventually get something that goes viral. It's with these other things, you need to be more careful about how you roll out. I mean, what do you think?
Janelle Monáe is actually quite a strange example for that, because I've been listening to her for almost 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, you are not like the you don't make up the audience that she has now.
No, but exactly, that's the point I was going to make, is that her first 3 albums are all part of a trilogy from a massive overarching storyline, all about this metropolis, sci-fi city, like Arcandroid, all that kind of thing. And then for her most recent album, that's like
way more popular.
Yeah, absolutely, like shot her up into a new level of popularity. She completely dropped all of that and then went in fresh. And it still has like a storyline, and she released the whole visual thing for it. But I think even though she's like a super experienced, you can still just like cut it off.
Oh yeah.
Start afresh and then gain a whole new fan base who don't feel like they're missing out on
the old
years.
stuff. Yeah. Because I mean, someone like I think even like Chance the Rapper, like he got like a real cult following from acid rap in 10 Day, and then he dropped Coloring Book, and even that isn't an album apparently. So now he's dropping his debut album now. Like that shows you the method that they're taking. I mean, I don't really think that's a super relevant example, but it's just like sort of the bigger picture to show people how it's going.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one as well, because it feels like Chance's fan base now and Chance's fan base before are almost like completely different. I don't think there really is any crossover.
No, I mean, he's just doing all these shit DJ Khaled remixes at the moment, and I just have no time for them. And he's, fair enough, he's dropping these like religious bops or whatever, and he's definitely gonna have like a fucking Christmas single on this album. I can just feel it. It's just gonna be like all these kind of really wholesome things. Like
there's definitely gonna be like 4 songs mentioning Lord.
Yeah,
Jesus is gonna be mentioned like 50 times over the whole album.
It's I mean, fair play, whatever you want to do, but I mean, he got a cult following from doing some really different stuff. Like acid rap is a really unique. Well, at the time of release, was a super unique project. And yeah, I mean, build your following. Like, I mean, I'll give some examples of Irish artists that I think are going about it the right way. Someone like Pat Lagoon collaborated with Rickshaw, brought out a collaborative EP. The small audiences they had sort of came together for that. He's been dropping some singles, taking time to roll them out, a couple of months in between, consistently posting, telling people to pre-save them, building up a buzz, getting them on playlists. That's where you start. And then you start doing some shows. That's where you have to get on to the next bit. That's where you're going to get fans. That's where I actually get into a lot of people, is seeing them live.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were at Longitude, like, I'm listening to all those people we saw because I saw them live. It's way easier to remember the songs that way.
Yeah.
But I think with those guys, and then we've been talking recently a lot about how everyone wants, the scene to get bigger and like certain rappers to get massive. But do you think that they lose a bit of their uniqueness when they sort of attain a level of popularity or money where they're not really struggling anymore, and that message isn't as prevalent in their lyrics anymore?
Yeah, like it's diluted a wee bit.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one because you can only talk about your experience most of the time, can't you? So like if you're on the come up, then you're going to be talking about that, and it's maybe a bit more relatable to people, or other people just resonate with it more, or they enjoy it more. But then as you become more popular, you make more money, you know, you're not going to rap about that. Like, you're going to rap about other stuff, and rap is so intertwined with authenticity, isn't it? It's like, if you don't rap with your real accent, then you're not authentic, you're not rated, like, people don't like it.
Yeah.
It's the only genre in the world that's like that, and
everyone wants to be the rags to riches story.
Exactly. Like, it's what people want to hear, and it's so it's just so in the culture, you know. And that's why a lot of these other artists, like, I don't know, I can't think of examples right now, but there's so many artists that just feel so inauthentic, and it's not because they're telling lies, it's just because they're not telling what people want to hear.
But even when you branch out, like you were saying with Kojak on Delhi's Daydreams, he sort of takes on a character of like someone who's a bit of a lower class than he actually is, and like tries to explore that in the album, but he got a lot of backlash for it.
Not a lot, but I mean, some people definitely, I've seen some people online saying like, this isn't it, whatever, blah. It's a fucking concept album, like, come on, like, get with the program, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that is sort of a problem that hip-hop has generally, that if you sort of branch out and try and take on a character, obviously we've seen with like Tyler or something, it can be done, but I think he did that almost from the start, so people were used to it, whereas if you've been doing albums about, you know, how hard the come up was, or like how poor you were or something like that, and then you sort of change it and take on a different character, people are almost just like what the fuck?
What are you doing? Like, this isn't you, this isn't the real you. Like, and I feel like there's a lot more creative space to do that in other genres than there is in hip hop.
Yeah.
I think like authenticity is just one of them questions and topics that is just so intertwined with rap that you're never going to be able to get away with it. And there's going to be a lot of hardcore fans that, this is why like the old boom bap heads hold on to it so hard, because they won't let people, you know, the genre evolve. Like, they feel that authenticity and the come up and lyricism are all things that are hip hop, which, I mean, yeah, it's true, that's what it is, but does it hold the genre back? Don't know. It's not really for us to answer, I guess. It's a difficult question.
Yeah, well, I think with the level of popularity that it has now, I think it will keep on evolving, and hopefully that kind of stuff doesn't get in the way of the artistry and of new things being done in the genre.
Yeah, and I think just the general consensus from this that we want to sort of get people to take on is, don't be afraid to try concept albums. Don't be afraid to tell your actual story, you know, rather than, because some guy from, I don't know, County Meath who lives on a farm is going to have a totally different story to, I don't know, someone living in the Bronx. You know, it's like, be authentic to, like, that is hip hop. Like, be authentic to your real story.
Yeah, but also don't be afraid to try something new.
Yeah, exactly. Borrow from other genres. Look at what other people are doing. Experiment. Work on your rollout. Yeah, those are the key messages from this. Yeah. But I mean, going on from there, like, a lot of good gigs going on.
Yeah.
We reached 1,000 followers on Instagram, which doesn't seem much and isn't that important, but we want an excuse to give away some tickets. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a couple of gigs coming up. Jay Yellowell and Leo Miyagi at Voodoo in Belfast.
Yeah, that'll be lit as fuck.
Yeah. What date is it?
25th of July.
Yep. And then on the same day in Dublin, we've got Bobby Basil at Whelan's.
Yeah. So 2 cracking gigs. We're giving away 2 tickets for each. If you just go onto our Instagram, there's a post that has it. Just go in, comment on it with what one you want to go to, and tag your mate. That is it. Simple as that. Nothing else. And we're going to announce the winners on Monday. So, go and check that out. It's free from us. Thank you for following us, engaging in everything we do.
Yeah, it seems like a small amount, but it is quite a big deal.
Yeah.
So we were talking about when we actually hit the 1,000. Like, it means a lot to us.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Even if 99% of the people don't even engage what we're doing, don't listen, you know, just having that many people that cared enough to follow us. Because I never actually say, follow me or anything like this. I'm not explicitly telling people to do it. So, like, people out of their own free will have done it. And, you know, it doesn't go unnoticed. Like, we really do care about that shit.
Yeah, for sure. It's even like a nice, like, visual reminder that, like, we're doing good. Like, people actually care about what's going on. Yeah, but they're both 2, like, should be banging gigs.
Yeah.
We're actually going to be at the Jay Yellowell one, which is why we can't go to the Bobby Basil one, because they're on the same date. So, yeah, hopefully see the competition winners there.
Yeah, 100%. So, this has been a good wee chat. didn't really have any sort of idea what we were coming into, but I felt like that was a decent conversation, and hopefully people get something from it.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoy the sort of more freeform way we've gone about it this week.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you disagreed with anything, write in the comments. Like, go on ahead. We want to open up some dialogue, some discussion about it. All the tracks we reviewed are in the description, and yeah. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe, like, all that jazz. Listen on Spotify, follow us. It's been Dylan.
Yep, and Jack.
Peace.